You are now listening to the fastest show on iSports Radio. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr. Welcoming you, taking a lap of the extra mile for today, November 4th, 2021. And folks, the long, winding road that began in January is coming to its conclusion. F1 hitting the final stretch, NASCAR hitting its championship weekend. To help me talk about it, of course, are my co-hosts, Michael Ward and Christopher Lehman. Fellas?
Hello.
How's it going tonight?
Everyone's doing well. If you're in the chat and you want to message us, just leave a comment right there in the chat. We'll read it out on air. Fellas, how are you doing in this marathon odyssey that began in January? Starting to come to an end now.
Yeah, it's something that I'm pretty vocal about. It's a very long season. There's a lot of races. And as much as I love racing, I'm ready for a break. I'm excited to crown our champion and then be able to watch some football and have some time off on Sunday afternoons. What about you, Michael?
Yeah, I'm excited to see who finally wins this thing in NASCAR. Although, let's be honest, we all kind of know who's going to win on Sunday. But I'm excited to see how the Formula One season ends, and honestly, I'm just excited for the break. And things happen crazily over the winter break, and it also gives us a chance to look forward to the next season coming up. A bunch of new regulations in Formula One, new cars and regulations in NASCAR. So the season might end, but there's a lot to be excited about over winter break.
Yeah, there's a lot of new coming, but we first have to finish with the present. I won't say the old. But NASCAR is coming to the close of a lot of what used to be in the sport, to be honest, with the close of the season coming up in Phoenix. But before we get there, we got to talk about Martinsville. And there was a lot of consternation on Twitter about how, particularly the truck race and how the cup race went at the end. And all I've got to say is, folks, this was kind of the point of making this race where it is on the schedule. And we all asked for this. So I don't understand the belly aching when we get the drivers throwing haymakers at the end of this race to go into the championship four. Like I posted on Twitter, I believe it was on Saturday or either Sunday evening, it's like the SpongeBob meme where the kid's like, I don't want this, and the daddy fish is like, then why did you ask for it? And I just don't get, I don't get it, and then I stopped trying to get it because NASCAR has a fan base at this point that they can't please, and I don't know how you fix it.
Yeah, I don't think you can please them at all, to be honest with you. They'll just find something they'll complain about or whatever it is.
I don't think that NASCAR could even please the majority, because I don't think even a majority of people could agree on what they want.
Mm-hmm.
I think at most you could please about 25% of the fan base.
Hey, if you can please 25%, that's something, I guess.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
Yep. Well, we'll see what they can do. But let's talk about what happened at Martins. I mean, the truck race was incredible. Zane Smith won his way into the Final Four as they had a green, white checker restart, which went about the way you would think it would go. A lot of fighting there. And in the Cup race, a certain Hack Byron picked up the win, making one of us extremely happy. Or Hack Bowman, sorry. We'll talk about Byron later. Made one of us extremely happy.
Yes, it did. Yes, I said we were sitting on the couch and we were coming to the restart, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And my wife was sitting next to me, and I was like, "One of them is gonna dump him." I mean, there's no way that you got Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski behind him. 0% chance he doesn't get dumped by somebody in turn 3 or 4, coming around, or maybe even 1 coming into the last corner. Somebody's going to do it. And I don't know how it happened, but he gapped him pretty good. And I was just like, I was ecstatic, to put it to say the least.
Yeah, I bet you were.
Bowman raced well with Hamlin, and then Hamlin thinks Bowman ran into him, but it really did look like he just got loose.
Yeah, it did. Like, if I sound unhappy, I wanted Hamlin to win, Hamlin fan, but it is what it is. He got loose.
I needed Hamlin to win for our championship, so I kind of wanted Hamlin to win as well. But it is what it is. But the way I look at it, it was chaotic. It made for great television. And then at the end, Hamlin just ruins the victory celebration, runs into Bowman's car. Some people didn't like that. I thought it was, as Joey Logano would say, that short track racing. You know, I loved that. You would see that anywhere on a Saturday night after a race like that.
There were people on Twitter just like, oh, he should get penalized. He shouldn't race next weekend for that. And I'm just like, okay. But if that was Chase Elliott doing that, you would be okay.
See, right? I was fine with the initial stop, but oh my God, sorry, I'm playing Madden and I just returned a kick.
Nice.
I was okay with the initial stop in front of him, and you let him know, but it was when Bowman decided, I'm just going to do my burnout with him right there, which I think he should have just burnt down the house with it. But I thought the second bump and then the burnout with the double middle fingers up, that's where I was like, okay, that's a little extra. Overall, I was fine with it. Like, it is what it is. But and then, the dragging. I've been enjoying the feud. Let's put it that way. Yeah. And realistically, at the end of the day, Bowman's getting the last laugh and the longest laugh because he's owning Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, the Hackman T-shirts are all out, which I need to order one of those at some point. Hamlin calls Bowman a hack at the end.
I don't think he should
what
have
you expect.
Called him that. I don't. There was a lot of bad PR in Joe Gibbs. I'm gonna say that now.
Yeah.
Not just Joe Gibbs. We can get into it, in a couple minutes. But DiBenedetto kind of was a bonehead this week too. So Bowman is selling the hack T-shirts. They posted a video this week of them putting the 4th winning sticker on the name rail, and they changed the name to say Hack Bowman, which I hope that they bring that to the track. Like, that would be so funny. And then Bowman posted a pre-order that 2,311 T-shirts had been pre-ordered, which, as you guys know, 2311. So I mean, he's just been digging at Hamlin, and you can tell during the press that he is under his skin. And I think as far as Denny Hamlin being a favorite, I think he's so far, like, I don't know. I just don't think he's going to be 100% in the headspace coming into the race.
See, I don't know. I think this might fuel him to an upset because Denny has been on bleep the world mode all season. And I think this might be that extra kick to finally win him that championship that he's been searching for pretty much since he got in.
Is it? Because I've been waiting for this ever since he debuted.
I mean, I did too. I think Kyle Larson's going to dominate, though, and just take it from him. But
yeah, winningest driver without a championship.
I don't think he's going to be the next Mark Martin.
I hope not, but the way it's going, he just can't seal the deal.
I mean, it's similar to Mark Martin, though, because he's had so many good seasons just go for naught. And when it comes to Mark Martin, everyone points at 1998 when Mark had his best statistical season of his career and won 7 races. He lost that championship because Jeff Gordon won 13 races that year. So,
yeah, his only competition was Jeff Gordon. That was the problem.
Yep. And it was Ray Evernham era Jeff Gordon. So it's just Denny's been close so many times. He's got to break through at some point. And I think it's going to be this year, especially with all the controversy around him. I think it's going to fuel him.
About it is like he's legitimately good.
Yeah.
Like you can make all the arguments, but he's made so many like playoff and chase contentions. It's really hard to give him an argument that he's bad or he's just not up there or he's not a caliber driver. Mm-hmm. Because you don't get in those situations without being talented. Yeah. But on a side note, did anyone actually want Brad Keselowski to win? Because watching him drive, I actually kind of wanted him to win.
No, I didn't want him to win. I was fine with him being out.
I've never seen a Penske car this whole year drive that hard.
He wanted that chance to go out with a win for them, a championship. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen.
I have never seen that team drive that hard this year.
Yeah. So we go into the Final Four, and it's Team Hendrick versus JGR with Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., and Denny Hamlin. The prohibitive favorite, given how the season has gone, is Kyle Larson. Who do you guys have with the best chance of taking Larson down? Because I'm not going to ask the favorite, because I think we're all going to pick Larson. But who do you think is going to be the one that dethrones Larson if it happens?
It could be MTJ because he won the race in the spring.
Mm-hmm. So my thought, and this will come up later, but I do not think we crown a first-time champion. Let's just put it that way. I mean, obviously that's the other three. And when you say who's going to dethrone Larson, I'm looking at his teammate. That's my pick to win this year. I think old Clyde gets another one.
Really? So you think Chase goes back to back? I mean, it's hard to say that he's had a quiet year because he has won races. He has been competitive. No, he has not been his teammate that's absolutely dominated the season, but as a championship, defender, he's been pretty low key, which is not a bad thing. It kind of fits Chase's personality, to be honest. He's really not a rah-rah type of guy. So I could see him sneak in there and win that second championship. We know Martin Truex Jr. won here in the spring, so that's going to give him a big advantage.
Denny Hamlin's always competitive at Phoenix, so
he is, but last time he was here in a championship position, that team was nowhere all day, so it's going to be difficult, and you're going to need to win the race. The last few years in Cup, those first four guys have been 1, 2, 3, 4 the whole day because everybody brings their best bullet to that race, which is usually miles ahead of everyone else. So you're going to have to go and get the win again. I don't think it's going to be a Matt Crafton situation in the trucks. I think last year, or no, it was a couple years ago, where nobody in the championship 4 won the race, and Crafton was like 6th and won it. You're going to have to go out there and win in Cup. We know you're going to have to do it in Xfinity on Saturday, and it's going to get rough, and I expect, hands to be thrown again, kind of like what happened in Martinsville.
Yeah, and then somebody could also just decide to play the upset. Let's not forget.
Yeah, we could see an outside chance of someone else winning the race. Now, the question is, do we see certain debts getting repaid? I'm looking at the 9 and the 4, for example.
I still say he's over that, but if he decides to bite him where it hurts, we're gonna have a lot to talk about next Thursday.
Yep.
I don't see, even if, no matter how mad Harvick is, I think if Chase is leading and you're coming up on the final couple laps and Kevin Harvick is right behind him, I don't see him, people listening can't see me, but I mean, you guys can see me. Like, I don't see him sliding up into him or, having an issue. Like, I don't think Kevin Harvick would do that. But if if Denny Hamlin or somebody's in second, Chase is leading, and it's a situation similar to Bristol, I think Harvick is going to make it extremely hard for Chase Elliott to get by him.
He will, and Chase might have to move him, and that could be interesting on how things go.
I'm kind of curious to see what Harvick's future plans are. Like, I mean, he's getting up there. There's a couple guys getting up there. I mean, I think something like we talk about right now with Formula One, with the new guard taking over. I think in the next season, it wouldn't surprise me to see a couple more retirements.
Harvick's getting up there. Kyle Busch is getting up there. His kid's racing. Keelan's racing. Both of them are going to want to go see their, spend time watching their son's race.
And I could almost see Denny Hamlin going and racing for himself, or taking on more of an ownership role. And, I mean, we're talking about the Gibbs guys. Truex is up there, and they've got a stable of drivers who need rides. They got people that need to move up, and we might be talking about that next year. Some good seats opening up after this race next year.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be seeing a changing of the guard at JGR, where Christopher Bell is going to be the veteran over there, kind of like what happened when all the guys left at Hendrick Motorsports. Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Casey Kane at the end. A lot of them, all those guys retired, and now, Junior as well. And it was a whole bunch of new guys.
And it was like 2 or 3 years they all left too.
Yeah. Hendrick went through a transition period.
As a JGR fan, I am not confident in that.
It's a transition.
Well, maybe
hurt.
he can peak. Maybe Bell can peak like Blaney almost peaked.
Bell is a really good driver, and
he is. But I just need him to peak. Bring that 20 car to victory lane again.
I mean, he did it once.
He did it once. I needed him to do it multiple times this year.
Well,
yeah, that 20 car outside of when Tony Stewart ran it has never run that well.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, nobody expected the 20 and the 5 to wreck each other out at Bristol on dirt.
No, wait, I think Matt Kenseth ran the 20, so outside of Matt Kenseth, sorry.
Matt Kenseth and Stewart, yeah. He's good. I just need him to, win more.
I think he will. I mean, this is his first year in good equipment.
Yep.
Now, obviously Levine was decent, but it wasn't winning material.
Yeah.
We will see what happens.
Kind of wondering if Trackhouse is going to be faster next year.
I think Trackhouse and 2311 will be faster, especially with Booty Barker on top of the box for Bubba. Trackhouse started off well, and then they kind of fell into the first team struggles for the rest of the year, sadly.
To me, it almost seemed like Trackhouse, once they announced that they were buying Gibbs, that'd be quite the news story, wouldn't it?
Yes.
11 buys, Joe Gibbs racing.
Once Trackhouse announced that they were buying Ganassi, that's where I kind of noticed them start to fall off a little bit, and it was almost like I almost kind of thought about it like, okay, like in their shop, they're like, all right, we're buying all Chip's gear next year. The cars that we're building right now, they're only good for this year. What's really the point of, we're not going to make the playoffs, so what's really the point of, spending tons of money on this year's car? That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, they probably just pulled an F1 and just said, we're going to scrap development of this year's cars or start next year.
Let's be competitive. Let's learn what we can. But other than that, let's, conserve resources and get ready for next year.
Yeah, that's what I agree.
So as we move into next year, and we've got drivers moving into new places, one of the drivers looking for a new ride is Matt DiBenedetto, and I debated talking about this internally during the week, but I think we got to talk about it and the Liberty situation with William Byron. That is something we definitely have to talk about, but to make a long story short, DiBenedetto made an off-color joke about identity. Got called out rightly on Twitter. Then deleted his Twitter. Went on Instagram and continued to play the victim when he was the one that made the bad decision in the first place. Now, DiBenedetto has talked at length about wanting to go to a place where he's not censored. Chris and Michael can see me. You guys cannot. Anytime I hear people talking like that, I get a bad feeling of, oh no, please don't be one of the... DiBenedetto's one of those folks. I don't really have a word for it that I can use on the air, but he's one of those snowflake folks. If that's the best way to put it. And this is the type of stuff NASCAR needs to try and get away from, in my opinion, if you're trying to bring a newer generation in. Because this generation coming up cares about how the drivers are off the track, or how they're athletes, celebrities, whatever, how they carry themselves on social media and away from whatever it is they're doing. And if you have a whole sport of folks that just won't Dudley do right, you're going to be in trouble. And somebody at NASCAR has got to learn that at some point.
DiBenedetto would fit perfectly in at RCR.
From what we've heard, probably.
Because they would censor him in a way that he probably would agree with.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the tweet we all saw that Richard Childress made Tyler Reddick delete.
Still angry about that, by the way.
Yep.
And unfortunately, on the same vein, we got to talk about this Liberty University thing. So a story broke, I think it was last week. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to touch on it.
I think it was this week, or it might have started.
No, it was this week,
but it only really came newsworthy in the last week or so.
Yeah, it was either last week or early this week. I have between this and the regular job, things are just going 2,000 miles per hour. But basically, Liberty University apparently is in trouble for basically silencing sexual assault victims. One of the most...
Another Blizzard shenanigans, basically.
Probably worse, because one, it's a Christian university. Two, one of the more egregious things is that they told one victim, allegedly, that they would, if she spoke up, they would fine her, or they would tell her parents that she had been drinking when the attack happened. So they care more about, allegedly, drinking, their students drinking, than their students being sexually assaulted. Liberty has been through litanies of controversy for years now, and they have been the sponsor for William Byron, who was a student at Liberty University at one point, for his entire career. Now, Hendrick Motorsports is standing by Liberty. I think that is a terrible situation, and
Definitely
it's not
a terrible idea.
sending the message that NASCAR needs to send. Because when I went on Dropping the Hammer, I've been on there a couple of times with Daniel McFadden about this issue, and I've talked about it on this show at length over the last 5 years, especially when NASCAR decided to do the whole we're turning a new leaf thing. You can talk about it as much as you want. If you're not going to walk the walk, this generation's not going to care. NASCAR has not walked the walk on this, to my satisfaction or to anyone's satisfaction. And yeah, it was trendy to say all the things and get rid of the Confederate flag, which, by the way, they haven't actually been keeping up with, apparently. You've talked to people that went to tracks and all that stuff. But that is all surface level stuff. You want to show people you care? Make the hard decision. Tell Liberty, look, you got to bounce off this car. Like, break the contract on...
Didn't they just sign an extension, too?
I think they did, yeah. They signed an extension a couple of weeks before this story broke.
Yeah.
You got to say, look, thanks, but no thanks. We can't have this type of school on our car. See ya. Like, these are the things that NASCAR teams, if you want to show you're serious about this turning a new leaf thing, you need to do, and they haven't done it. So was all that rigmarole last June just for the TV? Because it looks that way. That's all I'm going to say.
If we want to talk about sanctioning bodies doing things for publicity, we might as well have all the drivers kneel on a We Races 1 painting on the ground before every race.
Oh, my God.
That's going to start a lot of That's weird.
Oh my
might as well. Why don't we have a NASCAR race in Saudi Arabia? Or in this case, the Liberty campus.
Chris, you are stepping on very dangerous territory.
I don't care. I like stepping on dangerous territory.
You would be great at Call of Duty then.
Yep. Yeah, let's go ahead and have a race in an area with dubious human rights campaigns because one of our other tracks couldn't make it on the schedule. You know, let's go to a place where, 6 weeks until the race and they still haven't finished the track. And by the way, women may not even be able to attend that race because of how that country views women. I mean, we can do that too. I mean, we can just hold the whole season in Texas.
Why is this race even happening?
I don't know.
I think we're going to get down to the week before, and they're going to be like, crap, we got to do something else.
Yeah. As you can see, we wear our hearts on our sleeves here, and we're going to tell it like it is, and we're not fans of some decisions that some folks have made. And DiBenedetto, you know, dude's never really had a sponsor behind him. This ain't going to help.
The only sponsor he had behind him was Barstool.
And that guy is in trouble now. Again, if you saw the news today.
Just came out today, yep.
Yep. And that's not something we're even properly equipped to talk about right now. But NASCAR's got a lot of decisions to make. They've got to kick Barstool over this if these allegations are true.
I think Barstool is already completely out.
Mm.
But I mean, I also think that Barstool, like, if Portnoy was out, Barstool is a great platform for NASCAR. It's just the few times in my life, or in my view, that I think the word toxic masculinity really truly exists, Barstool Sports is probably the gold standard for toxic masculinity.
Yeah. Definitely is. And there are some decisions that are going to need to be made. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to make them. And Adam, who's watching listening to us, on the Spreaker chat right now, basically says what we're thinking. Oh, yay, more sexual assault cover-ups. We just can't get away from these, unfortunately. Well, folks, we're going to take a break and talk about some cheerier stuff on the other side, getting into the Mexican Grand Prix and filling you in on how the show schedule is going to go for the rest of the year, of course, as obviously with the Formula One Championship a bit more competitive this year, we had to make some decisions. And speaking of competition, Southern California Warriors, well, unfortunately, they lost the battle to the Mercury 32-26. But they won the war as they will be going to the playoffs despite having a record of 4-6. They await who they will play next week as they play for a championship. And folks, the world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organizations, players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance. If you love your sport, you may get that second chance you have been waiting for as an athlete. Follow them on social media at SoCal Warriors, on Twitter, Instagram at Southern California_Warriors, and Facebook at Southern California Warriors. We'll be right back after this.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with lists of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the college, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
Hello and welcome to the Soccer Scoreboard Show with your host, Gabriel Montoya. This is the show for soccer, football fans, or whatever you call the beautiful game. Every week I tackle the latest and greatest news from around the soccer world, from the English Premier League to the World Cup to MLS, Liga MX, and more. You can listen to the Soccer Scoreboard Show and our lineup of fantastic guests every Friday at noon here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, sports fans? You're looking for a different type of sports talk show, something you haven't heard before? You got to check out the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday on 2 Live Stews Radio, 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Sports talk at its finest. Always have great guests, playing some good hip-hop. You don't want to miss it. Make sure to tune in to the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Businesses, are you looking to background check a new hire on? Let Kit Freeman take care of that for you. Kit has founded and has managed Background Check International since 1994, and he's here to help you with the screening process. Contact Kit and let him make the hiring process that much easier. This business is used for professional background checks and not for the use of any crimes such as identity theft or any other illegal activity. Check out his social media at Facebook at Background Check International and check out his website, bcint.com. We're back here on the Extra Mile. It's a full crew with Michael and Christopher here with me this evening. Some administrative stuff I want to take care of before we get on with the rest of the show. The show schedules for the rest of the year as we're closing in on the end of the racing season is as follows. We will be with you next week to review the NASCAR Championship and get you ready for the next bit of Formula One racing. We are going to talk the Mexican and Brazilian Grand Prix on that day. Then we've been going since January 2021. We're going to take a couple weeks off. We will come back to you on December 2nd to get you ready for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And we'll see how it goes from there, depending on how the championship rolls in Formula One as we roll into this Formula One discussion. Heading into Mexico, first practice starts tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. This is a critical juncture for Mercedes. We were talking about it a little bit before we came back on the air, and I think we all agree this is must-win territory for Lewis Hamilton if he wants to win this championship.
Yeah, definitely. They can't make a mistake here like they've been doing.
He needs to. If he doesn't win, he's got to at least be tied up or within a point or two of Verstappen. Basically, he has to finish above Verstappen every race out.
Yep. It is no longer about point racing. It is now about he's got to beat Verstappen. And unfortunately, we've seen how this team gets in high pressure situations. They have been prone to mistakes all year. And I said at the beginning of the season, the strategy has been bad. And I said this year, they cannot have a oops. They've had about 4 or 5 of them this year. I just don't see. They went to the United States, had the strongest car, still lost. I'm just not seeing a path that wins them a championship unless Verstappen has some sort of engine problem or two over the next couple of races.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that in a way it's either one of theirs to lose. I think they both have a very real shot of getting it. And you've got 5 races, and it's whoever has a single bad race, because the other one is going to run 5 clean, good podium finish races. One of them is not, and that's going to be the determining factor.
Yep.
And then next year it'll be Lando.
Yeah, because who knows who it's going to be next year, but we're closing out the 2021 car and this era of Formula One racing as we go into what hopefully will be a racier car. As I look at this season, it's really been about, Max Verstappen rising to take the mantle, and Lewis Hamilton, the driver, he's still good. I don't think this is Lewis falling off. He is still that special talent. He has not been helped by the team at all this season. They've made strategy blunders. They've made so many issues for themselves that they shouldn't have. Yes, Hamilton did have that mistake, that unforced error at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, which is looming large right now, but it should be a much closer title than this. But Mercedes was out to lunch at the start of the year, and they've finally clawed their way back to some sort of advantage, but I just think it's far too late.
I think overall this year, Mercedes doesn't have a better points lead right now, and it's not because of anybody but themselves. Mm-hmm. They have shot themselves in the foot every opportunity that they could, they have. And that's the only reason that Lewis doesn't have a decent lead over Verstappen right now, because it's not like their win totals are completely far off, or even this point of the year they're only a couple points away from each other, but both teams have had a lot of area to score more points, but I think Mercedes has done more to shoot themselves in the foot than Red Bull has.
Mm-hmm. Red Bull's been pretty decent all year, to be honest.
Then again, Red Bull's always been really decent when it comes to strategy plays.
Yep. And it's really helped them this year, but coming up next year is the big question of who's going to be on top with this new car. Unfortunately, we also have sprint qualifying, or whatever you want to call it. Not only are they potentially thinking of expanding it, There's also a discussion of making points all the way down to the entire top 10. So at that point, we're just racing 2 races on the F1 weekend now and devaluing the Grand Prix on Sunday. You basically turn F1 into F2 Senior. Why? Qualifying was not broken. Why do we continue to mess with it? It was the racing that was having an issue, and if this new car doesn't race any better, you're going to see more sprint races like the couple we ran this year where no one really made passes after the first couple races. First couple laps, sorry.
Yeah, it just seems like a case of we're not really acknowledging the issue. We're trying to find ways around it instead of acknowledging it.
Yeah. Or in this case, we are breaking issues that don't need to be fixed. Not sure why we're doing that.
I don't know. Somebody's got to blame somebody.
I don't know. But as we go into Mexico, another storyline coming out of this race is this is Sergio Perez's home race, and this is probably his best chance to win his home Grand Prix, which raises an interesting question. If you are Perez, do you continue with the team driving if you're starting on the front row next to Max Verstappen? Or do you go for the win at your home Grand Prix? Because I know what I'd do.
I'd go for the win because Verstappen is not going to listen to team orders.
I almost think that for the longevity of your place there, you go team orders.
I got to go for the win.
I mean, I know that's what you'd want to do, but at the end of the day, your paychecks could stop coming if you don't play the long-term game.
I'm going to say it like this. If he has an opportunity to win, then go ahead and go for it. But if Verstappen's like lapping half a second faster than you or something like that, you might as well settle for second or at least block Hamilton.
I mean, who knows? Maybe Mercedes will shoot themselves in the foot and it won't matter.
I mean, the way that it's been going this year, yeah. Something's going to happen. This might actually be the race where he ends up having it, or that Hamilton has an engine failure, which we haven't seen out of his cars in quite a while. So,
but guys, let's be honest. We all know what's going to happen. Ferrari's going to have the upset. I'm just kidding. But I want to see him win his home race because that place is just going to explode in just happiness. And it's going to be like Senna winning in Brazil or Hamilton winning in Britain. It's just going to be a good feeling. I wish we can have an American win in the U.S., but who knows when that's going to happen.
Well, we need an American to get up there, and also we need a actual team, which, speaking of which, everyone was expecting a landmark announcement during the USA Grand Prix that Andretti was joining with Sauber. That did not happen, and according to Michael Andretti, it was a question of control over who would really run the team. And apparently, the asking price was $50 million, which apparently wasn't an issue for Andretti, but it was a control situation that was. Right now, the only American team that Americans can root for is Haas, and they might be on the way out.
Yeah, if 2022 doesn't go well, Gene is just going to be like, all right, I'm done with this. You can.
I don't know, and that's the thing. I don't see how much more money Gene Haas can throw into this without, selling to Mazepin's dad and cutting his losses.
You want to know what'll be really funny?
When Rich Energy comes back.
Oh God!
Let's not talk
about
that.
I sent you guys the tweet.
But what'll really be like funny is like he sells Haas F1 team, and the next thing you know, Stewart Haas Racing does well again.
It might.
Or Stewart Haas Racing becomes Stewart Earl Kai, however the heck you say it.
Stuart Pritchard Racing?
Stuart Mazepin Racing and Dummy McDummersteins in a NASCAR.
I'm sorry, but I can't see Mazepin being remotely interested in NASCAR.
I don't
see it either.
But what I do think should be interesting in NASCAR is fucking Mercedes.
Maybe.
But bring us a Mercedes stock car, please. You'll be fine.
But Porsche is apparently interested in Formula One. There was a story that ran earlier this week that said the conditions for them to get into F1 are rapidly approaching. We've been asking for a new manufacturer and a new team for quite a while now. And there is some rumblings that Audi could be teaming up with Red Bull to make their engines in Formula One. So we could have the Audi-Porsche rivalry not only being reignited in the World Endurance Championship, which I cannot wait for, by the way.
Right.
It could also go to a new category where we're going to have all three German manufacturers battling it out in Formula One.
It's no longer going to be called Formula One. It's going to be called Formula Germany.
Formula DTM, the real DTM.
Oh, man.
Well, I mean, so I guess with Porsche being interested and Porsche being owned by Volkswagen, I mean, that's kind of already tied right in with Red Bull because they're already more or less in bed with each other.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting.
I think
Red Bull, Porsche.
Yeah, I think
yes.
Porsche is more in line with Red Bull, and supposedly Volkswagen is more, not Volkswagen, it was somebody else. Somebody else is like interested in McLaren.
Porsche, McLaren, and Audi, Red Bull. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But is McLaren willing? Is McLaren willing to go back into the engine building game? Because we saw what happened last time when they tried to rekindle the McLaren Honda thing. It did not go well
I think it was more so along the lines them and Honda, more so than people believe it was just Honda. I think it was more so them and Honda not really getting along.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe with this, another relationship will do well. Plus, you're dealing with like car manufacturers that know how to make these types of engines. Well, engines that can go fast for a very long amount of time.
Yep. We'll see how it goes, but I'm excited for the potential of the new news of the new engine manufacturers. Now, of course, they will not show up until at the earliest 2023 because it is far too late to get anything done for next year.
Yeah.
But 2023 and beyond, we could see them entering into the sport.
So quick question: would that bring like more privateer teams? Like, will we see Yost make an appearance in F1?
Not with that $200 million price tag to start a new team. I don't see that happening.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I wouldn't want that either.
Yeah, if they didn't have to pay $20 million per team to the 10 teams already in the sport, yeah, I think we'd see some privateer teams come.
I can see them joining up with somebody, yeah, but starting an old team. Now that you say that, definitely not.
Yeah, nobody's going $200 million in the hole before you even break ground on a building to do a Formula One team. That's just not going to happen.
I definitely think that cap should go down. $200 million just for a new team. Like, come on now.
It should be $100 million at the most.
It's going to be. You guys laugh, but 2020 Rick Ware F1.
Oh God.
Get out of here.
Look, if Rick Ware starts an F1 team, that will confirm everything I've said about the joke about where he potentially gets his money from.
They're going to be the new HRT of F1. I heard that there. I heard that.
Yeah. But we got to make some picks, and We're waiting for the official count from Mr. Matt White, but I think we have a champion-elect over there with Mr. Christopher Lehman, because unfortunately my Hamlin pick didn't work out, and that should have been enough to lock up the title. But we still got to pick for the Mexican Grand Prix and decide who we think's going to win the NASCAR championship here with the Phoenix race, or who you think's going to win if you don't think a championship contender is going to win. I honestly think it's going to be Larson, and I'm going to go Perez at the Mexican Grand Prix. I think he gets it done in front of his home crowd. Michael, Chris, who you got?
Chris, wait. I got a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
For the championship 4, can we honestly just pick whoever we want, or we still can't pick if we picked them last weekend?
You want Denny again?
Who? Me? Yeah, I want to go Denny again. Of course.
I think it's still, if you picked him last week, you can't pick him again.
That's BS.
But that's something we should probably revisit just for the championship round for next season.
Yeah, because it's the championship. I want to pick my boy.
Yep.
I guess since we can't, I will pick Martin Truex Jr. And for F1, I almost forgot Mexico was happening this weekend. For F1, I will say Verstappen, because team orders will be a thing.
All right. And as I said earlier, I am picking Chase Elliott to defend his championship with another championship. And then I am also going with Max Verstappen to win Mexico.
All right, I'm the only Joe Gibbs guy here. I'm a bit of the underdog. Every Toyota Camry driver out there, lend me your energy.
Hey, I drive a Corolla, so.
Okay, you should also, you made your pick, but you should just be, holding your hand, to the left outside of your window, I'm
I might. But hey, folks, that is end of another episode of The Extra Mile. We're coming to the end of another season. There's about 5 more seasons than I thought this show would ever go. So I'm happy that everyone's listened. I want to thank anyone who's ever been a part of this show for helping me get it to where it is. And we just want to get bigger in the next 5 or so years. So we've got some plans for that, and we'll keep on trucking. But I'm at DK Jr. 12. Michael's at Michael_War25. Chris is at Fiji Sims if you want to talk to us on Twitter. Follow our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter pages for IE Sports Radio. And follow the IE Sports Twitter, Extra Mile IESR. We'll have some polls on there after the end of the NASCAR Championship this weekend. And if you missed any episode of any IE Sports Radio show, make sure you check it out anywhere where podcasts can be heard. But that is a checkered flag for this episode of The Extra Mile. For Christopher and Michael, I'm Daryl. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you guys next week. We'll see you at the next green flag. Good night, everybody.
Woohoo.